not easy to understand an artist. It really isn't, because we're not meant to be understood by everyone. Hey guys, it's Taivy. Welcome back to another video. Those of you guys who are returning, welcome back. And for those of you guys who are joining me today, welcome. Now, I know this video is a bit late. Life gets in the way and pushes back all of my plans, but I'm finally filming. I saw HALSTON on Netflix and I want to discuss it. So, if you love fashion, if you like history, if you like vintage fashion, if you like HALSTON specifically, definitely keep watching this video. Now, before we do get into today's video, I just want to let you guys know about like my look today. I am wearing, I hope you guys like it, by the way. If you do, definitely leave me a comment down below about it, but I'm wearing the Blue Moon palette. This is from ColourPop. Then I have some really fun rhinestone face stickers, so I decided to be extra crafty and do a little design here. Blingy eye makeup that I love doing. If you do like my eye makeup, definitely leave me a comment down below with some suggestions and ideas for future looks in my videos. As I mentioned before, we are going to be talking about HALSTON on Netflix. It is a limited series that celebrates the spirit and the essence of who HALSTON is and who he was. 70s fashion is very popular again. 60s fashion is very popular again. This is the best time to be revisiting HALSTON. Not a lot of people realize how important HALSTON is to American fashion. There's people who do understand that, and there's people who really don't care. Right, so as I mentioned before, the amazing Ewan McGregor, star of many different movies, plays HALSTON. I do want to discuss Ewan McGregor as an actor. Then I want to go into his take on HALSTON and the whole 60s, 70s look that he embodies throughout the series. I want to also go into HALSTON's addictions, because addiction is a huge part in the entire limited series. The fourth thing I want to talk about today is the designer-muse relationships. A lot of you probably already know this, but HALSTON and Eliza Minnelli had an amazing friendship that carried on through both of their personal careers and private lives. And that's something that inspired a lot of the designer-muse relationships that I see today. The fifth thing I also want to talk about today has to do with like who HALSTON really is and who he would be today had he lived longer. Okay, now that I went over the 5 things I want to discuss, let's get started. I would say Ewan McGregor as an actor, versatile. When I think of Ewan McGregor, the name that comes to mind is Gary Oldman. Gary Oldman is very much a chameleon when it comes to acting. You can put him in 200 films and he could be 200 completely different people. Some actors really are typecast and you sort of get used to them playing themselves in a movie. And then you have people like Gary Oldman, and in this case Ewan McGregor, who really embodies their role. They are able to mold themselves, fit into the story, and give it the respect it needs. And I think Ewan McGregor is someone who's not afraid to transform. And I was halfway through the first episode and I'm just like, ugh. You know that feeling of frustration when you recognize, but for the life of you, you can't exactly pinpoint where you've seen them. And I had seen Moulin Rouge, I have seen Beauty and the Beast, I have seen so many films that he was in, but I just couldn't get the face. So I had to pause the episode and look him up. I see it's Ewan McGregor. I literally had just seen Moulin Rouge like last year. Then I saw him again in Beauty and the Beast. His name was like Lumiere. He played Lumiere and I didn't even catch that. Literally plays Obi-Wan. Like, I'm not a Star Wars fan. Not because I don't like Star Wars. I just never gave it the time of day. I'm not saying as of right now I've never watched Star Wars. It's just I never really had an interest in it. But anyway, to have all those roles under your belt and then to go and play HALSTON, like, incredible range. I believe Ewan McGregor is someone who gives it his very best. I don't think that he's difficult to work with, and he has this great disposition about himself that allows him to take on all these roles. You can tell when an actor is giving like half of themselves, like they're half-assing, very dedicated, and then also respectful. They're going to play a real person. There's a fine line between really honoring them, their legacy, and parodying them. I don't believe Ewan McGregor was doing it for the approval of HALSTON's family, but he truly wanted to honor the man and show him in all of his beauty and all of his ugliness and all of his creativity and just all of that he was. Overall, Ewan McGregor as an actor, aces for you. The one thing I really wish was like another 3, 4, 5, 6 episodes. I could have watched a full series of HALSTON. HALSTON's in your life, he's big, he's up and coming, and then boom, he's out. And I guess that in a way echoes his life. You know, it's just such a tragedy. Next, I want to talk about his take on HALSTON. When I'm watching Halston on Netflix. I'm taking it as it is, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, is this what Halston sounded like? I was tempted to go ahead and look up actual videos of Halston to compare them to the show. Ewan did an amazing job at capturing Halston's vocal. I watched some old clips of Halston talking, and it resembled Halston on Netflix. I don't know if it's because Ewan's just like a seasoned actor, great vocal training, but to mimic someone's nuances, mannerisms, and the way that they pronounce things, it's just amazing. He captured it so well. The last thing I wanted to talk about in regards to Ewan playing Halston is how much I loved him in Halston fashion. I mean, it suited him. The slicked back hair, long coats, the effortlessly minimal sweaters, classy and sophisticated and smart. When the show was over, I was like, Ewan, don't stop dressing this way. I'm ready to talk about the third thing on my list today, and that has to do with addictions. Addiction's hard. For all intents and purposes, let's say that this dramatization of Halston is completely true. At the core of a lot of what he was going through are a lot of his addiction. Some that were more obvious and some that weren't as obvious. One of the first addictions we see that's so obvious is drug abuse. I mean, this is the time of the 60s and the 70s, Studio 54, and everyone was trying psychedelics. All these different things were happening at the same time. We see Halston using drugs as a way to celebrate, to get his mind off of his lovers, to get his mind off of his career, off of his money, off of his circumstances. I definitely think that drug abuse contributed to the vicious cycle that he started to embark on. Money got so high that it hit a plateau, was having creative struggles and creative differences with the business team behind him, couldn't grasp the fact that he was no longer his name. He didn't own himself anymore. Another more obvious addiction, as portrayed in the Netflix series, I would say, is sex. It's your choice to sleep with whomever you choose to. You know, being safe is also another thing. But beyond that, just like drugs became a way out for him to like escape, I also feel like sex became a way for him to lose his mind as well and not to think about anything. I would say a third addiction of Halston was working. He was addicted to working. Work can definitely become an addiction, and I think it was for him. And I think he worked himself quite literally to death. All right, now let's talk about the fourth thing I wanted to discuss today, which is one of my favorite areas to go into, the designer muse phenomenon. Halston and Liza were the first time I ever saw a designer muse relationship. Firstly, their friendship is so genuine, and I believe Ewan captured that emotion of Halston's admiration for Liza. They had such great chemistry on screen that it works so that you can say, oh my goodness, this is totally like Halston and the real Liza Minnelli. Like, they're inseparable. It's amazing. The actress who played Liza, Krista Rodriguez, had me utterly captivated as well. One thing I really wish I saw more of in looking back and thinking back on the show, I really wish I saw Krista Rodriguez singing more and performing even more. Like, I would have been even more delighted. There are two modern day designer muse relationships that came to mind when I thought about Halston and Liza. The first would be McQueen and Lady Gaga, and the second one I could think of is Olivia and Kim Kardashian. First of all, rest in peace to McQueen. It seemed like McQueen and Gaga were here at the right time for each other. First time I ever saw Gaga wear McQueen was in her Bad Romance music video. She just seemed to have this love for him as a designer and this respect and understanding that she was able to really bring his work to life. I think for a designer muse relationship to work, it needs to be mutually beneficial, where the designer is enhancing, really supporting and empowering the artist. Whatever they do, that muse is fully supported and represented. And the same breath, the muse breathes life into the artist's creation. And I saw that with Gaga. I did see that a lot with the way that Kim would wear Balmain. The Kardashians gave Balmain their second wind, paired with the fact that Olivia is this very incredible person of color, making it completely fresh and new, and then working with an American that puts them on the map in a way that hadn't been done before for a French house. People saw Liza and they saw she was wearing Halston. Everyone else wanted to wear Halston. You become legendary. As a designer myself, you can't really buy someone to be your muse. The person that wears you, that is just so organic and cool. And I think that's something that Halston has brought to the table. He just understood it before anyone else did. We're never going to be done with these designer muse relationships. That's what makes history. The closest person to the designer is the person closest to their heart and soul. We don't let everyone in all the time. It's hard to trust the world. Liza to this day cherishes Halston and has never turned her back on him despite negative press and scandals. She really is his best friend. The fifth thing I wanted to discuss today is, who would Halston be today? Fashion has evolved so much since then. This generation loves dance, celebration, art, and there's an element I feel Halston would appreciate. The idea of the it girl has never faltered, so I think that he dressed people like Rihanna or Zendaya. Clever women with class and style. That's literally who I would see. It was an honor to watch a dedicated artist hustle and make himself into a household name. That's my final remark for Halston. As a creative, I have to say, watching Halston, it was like watching yourself, whatever you're interested in doing. Let's say you're a designer. Where do you get the capital from? How do you make your money? What will you design? What if society doesn't want to wear it? And we have it harder because everything's been invented already. How many more dresses do we need? How many more pants? How many more jeans? How many more tops do we need? So we have our hands tied trying to figure out, like, how do we separate ourselves from the masses? And then with that, let's say we are successful and our name becomes something. Well, do you sell out, or do you maintain your integrity and keep pushing out really high quality work? When the money came in, I think he got too comfortable, and he was never a businessman. He's always been an artist. And it's very hard to be an artist in this world when people, all they want from you is to make money off of you. And I don't know how true the stories are for the business relationships that he had, the business deals that fell through, and all the opportunities that he missed out on. I don't know. My heart definitely broke for him because as a designer, I fight that battle every day. I have a bachelor's degree in entrepreneurship, a minor in economics. I have an associate's degree in fashion design. It is my passion. I care about fashion in terms of it being an art form. When I watched Halston spiral in that way, he was just an artist crying out for help and no one came because they didn't understand. It's not easy to understand an artist. It really isn't, because we're not meant to be understood by everyone. And I think Ewan McGregor captured all of that beautifully. I mean, when he cried, I cried. When he laughed, I laughed. When he got angry, I felt that pain. It really revived this style of fashion, this era. So that's the end of my review of Halston on Netflix. I would definitely give it a 10 out of 10. Like I said before, if you have any comments or ideas about this story yourself, leave me a comment down below so we can continue this conversation. I do appreciate your patience and everyone who's been supporting me up until this point. I love you guys so much for supporting my channel, and I cannot wait to see you in my next video. Enjoy the rest of your day, you guys. Bye!